Hello, everyone. I'm Chris with National Parents Organization. Today I'm here with George and Derek, and they are working hard in the state of Texas, and they're here to give us an update on what's going on in Texas. And they actually have four different bills going on right now. We're going to hear a little bit about each one of those. And then we're going to do some follow up videos later on to go more in depth into each of those topics. So, George and Derek, welcome, and thank you so much for all the work that you do. But let's start off just with some short introductions, and then you can tell us about what's going on down in Texas.
All right, great. I guess I'll start. My name is George Saldaña. I'm the founder of Team Texas 2503, Interference with Child Custody. And this is Derek Berry.
Hi guys, I'm the communications director for Team Texas 2503, Interference with Child Custody.
And so tell us a little bit about, what bills do you have going on down in Texas there?
Sure. Well, we have two currently that are promising, that are tracking and trending the way they should. One went from the Senate floor to the House and the House to the Senate. They're at committee. We have HB 4240, which is an interference with child custody bill, and then SB 2011, which is also an interference with child custody bill on the criminal side. Those are the two big ones that are still in play for this session, and they're, like I said, they're looking promising so far.
So when you talk about interference with child custody, what exactly would these bills change?
Well, the HB 4240 adds a civil penalties remedy. Basically, it allows a city, municipality, or county to adopt an ordinance up to a $500 fine for issuing a citation to the offending party if they're retaining the child. So it'll create a documentation process and some sort of remedy out on site for those parents that are trying to access with valid court orders, of course.
Yeah, I think a big issue across the country nationally is, the states are very active in enforcing child support if a parent goes neglect on child support, but they really don't enforce parent time if a parent is withholding the children, against the active orders. Is that what this is designed to remedy?
Absolutely. So we part of the obstacles that we faced here in Texas, and it's nationwide. Every state has its challenge with this. Is once mom and dad finish exhausting financially and physically and emotionally all the resources, they're given a current valid court order by a judge signed off on best interest of the child. When they go to access their possessionary time, they're often turned around by frontline law enforcement and told it's a civil matter to go right back into civil litigation. It was happening time and time again. And we that's how Texas 2503 came about, because we realized it was such a big problem and we needed a solution to draw attention to it.
It's kind of just like circling back is what you hear. That's the new term going around these days, circle back. They send you back to civil court. And well, what did I just come out of civil court for? We're seeing members that are going in there getting sole custody because their ex either didn't show up or there was a change in modification in the orders, and they go in to pick up the child, and still the child isn't turned over, and still law enforcement says go back to court. Well, I just got out of court yesterday. I mean, so what?
Yeah.
It's just a big circle back.
A lot of these parents don't have the financial means to keep going back to litigation. They already exhausted all the resources. So the last thing they want to hear is, hey, go back to court.
Yeah, I mean, what good are the court orders if somebody's not going to enforce them, right? I mean, this is something that's infuriated me time and time again. Is that courts will write the rules, but then the police, which is the organizations that are supposed to enforce the rules of our society, they don't want to get involved. So then you end up going back to the court. And I think a lot of parents have seen where you have to go back to court a number of times on these things to actually get some action out of the court, right?
Exactly. That's kind of where SB 2011 comes in on the criminal side. The Texas Penal Code 2503, interference with child custody, is already a criminal state jail felony. And a lot of folks weren't educated on its existence, period. So we sought out to define the process and clear up any areas for discretionary, right? For discretion, and kind of outline systematically, step by step, for frontline law enforcement. So in the event that this is an ongoing, repetitive kind of behavior from the offending party, this would be captured, properly documented with an offense report, and then those parents could escalate and after the investigation, get it to the DA's office. That way they can pursue the criminal aspect of it. So they work, they're not sister bills, they're not companions, but they do work hand in hand. One, HB 4240 offers the civil remedies portion, and then the SB 2011 is it was already in existence. We're not redefining the law or anything. We're just adding some clarification and some steps in there for frontline law enforcement to follow, instead of the old, hey, go back to court, it's a civil matter response, the standard operating procedure.
So what I've been telling people is that it reinforces the law now.
Sure.
The law right now that is in effect, it's been on the books here for 47, 48 years in the state of Texas. And so it's not enforced. It's a state jail felony. So basically now we're putting in steps to reinforce that law so that it's clarified. It's a little bit more
it's outlined. There is no room for error. I mean,
right.
it tells you to put eyes on the child, to file the missing persons report. They're going to be subject to outlining the offense report, which holds more merit than just an incident number or case number that most parents were getting in these cases. Right? They were given a little card and a number, and then told, hey, it's documented. But that wasn't the case. A lot of standard operating procedures weren't aligning with the TPC.
And one of the things we found out is, the federal government has these laws too for missing persons. And so when I show up on location and my child's not there and I don't know where my child is, okay, I'm going to beef it up into a welfare check and then continue on to a missing persons, a missing child report. And most of the time, these officers will tell you, your child's not missing. They're with their mom or they're with their dad, right? And so basically, I kind of, and not that it's a secret, but kind of what we've told our parents is, look, officer, all I want is an offense report for interference with child custody.
Right.
And if you don't want to do an offense report, now I'm going to make you work harder. I'm going to make you go look for my child and put eyes on my child. And if you can't, then you're going to you're going to do a missing child report. The federal laws are pretty strict on that. There's no waiting period. Anybody can file it within 2 hours. If the child isn't located or seen, they have to put them in the NCIC, and they got to do a whole bunch of more paperwork.
Yeah, a lot of these cases were snowballed.
Right. So you might get away with not enforcing state laws, but now you're treading on not enforcing federal laws. And we're not trying to get anybody in trouble. We're just trying to get access to our children as per the court order that was deemed in the best interest of the child.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think, from what I understand, the missing persons report started 24 hours for adults, but you're saying for children, there's no waiting period on that? Or is it 2 hours, I think?
Yes, that is correct. And that's federal law.
Yeah, and so federal law, basically, like you said, supersedes any state law. So those are some excellent points that you've made about the right procedure and how to handle, law enforcement when they don't want to get involved with this and they have an obligation to. I think it's so important that people understand their rights and know that, you don't really have to get confrontational with law enforcement officers, but it does help to know, what they have to do so that you can gently inform them if you need to. Have you done any sort of education in Texas with the parents around that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we toured the state, North, South Texas, you name it. We've been to every major city. We've we've got the opportunity to speak and present in chief police meetings and talk to law enforcement. We have a lot of support. We have a lot of support from DAs, judges, attorneys, some frontline law enforcement and sheriff's offices. I mean, they believe in it. They believe in the message and the cause, and what we're doing is right. And there is a little opposition out there, but yeah, one of our biggest things that we do is educate parents on how to navigate the process, especially kind of subject matter experts on the interference with child custody part.
Yeah, we even got support from the Texas District and County Attorneys Association stating that, these are cases are becoming more prevalent and, there's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so they wrote up an article on their little webpage, and, we kind of showed that to every other DAs that, it's if you're a part of the Texas District and County Attorneys Association, this is where they stand on this issue.
Yeah. We even
No.
have the opinion letters that went to the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, we have the opinion letters, but overall, it's not rocket science.
Sure.
There's no police officer, there's no attorney, there's no judge that's going to tell you to go against the order.
Yeah.
So why is it not enforced?
And it's not out of malice or ill intent. It's just a lack of education from on the front line side. We found SOPs that don't align with the TPC, the Texas Penal Code, and it was just they weren't taught any different. They were taught, hey, here's the status quo. Here's what you need to do. You need to deflect and tell them to go back to court, and that's not the case. That's not the case at all.
So we kind of dug into the history as to why it's a felony and why is it not enforced. And some of the legal theories we found, from the Department of Justice back in '76 is that before 1976, before all the universal child custody, the UCCJEA Act,
Title 14,
yeah, all that stuff, and the divorce rate was real low. They didn't really have a problem, or they didn't have a remedy when parents would pick up their children and take off with them. So they made it a felony because then when parents take them across state lines, that's when the U.S. Marshals and the FBI, who have jurisdiction over the United States, can cross those lines.
Right.
So it's always been a felony. It'll stay a felony. But before then, it was a civil matter. Go back to court and figure out who has jurisdiction and get a judge to do it. But it seems like traditionally that's what's been handed over for the last 48 years. Tell them to go back to court. Tell them it's civil, it's civil, it's civil, it's civil. We know here in Texas, it was last legislated in 2011, 2007. 96. So it's been,
It's been an amendment.
Right. It's been an amendment. And one of the things I like to tell people is that, we have cell phones now. We have Siri and we have all this technology. We have these car seats that have airbags now in them. And, and the family code and, possession and access problems are the same as they were in 1976. So if they really wanted to fix this, they could.
Yeah, a lot of laws are antiquated that are currently in place. I mean, they need to be updated, reviewed, and the times have changed. Things have changed. You think about all the things that have happened in the past 50 years. We've come leaps and bounds as a society, as a nation, but yet, this is still an issue, and why? And we know the why behind it too. But it's definitely, it needs our attention.
Yeah, certainly the judicial system is particularly slow to change, and I know that's frustrating for a lot of people. But we have made some strides here nationally. Of course, with Kentucky being the first state to do shared parenting. So with that, let's roll in and talk about your other two bills that you have going right now, and tell us what they're about and what their current status is.
So HB 803 was a shared parenting bill. Texas 2503 was in full support. We were one of the organizations that were kind of late to the game, to the table, so to speak, during the session for the shared parenting bill, but they had our full support as well as other organizations. But it originated, I want to say, in 2015 by Representative Pena, again visited by Representative James White in 2017, and in 2019 by Middleton, who also championed it and was the primary author this session as well. Americans for Equal Shared Parenting kind of spearheaded it as it evolved and as it took off and took course. There's a lot of individuals too. There was Stuart McMillan, Rustin Wright, Josh Yaros, Hunter Youngblood, Brendan Johnson, Karen Champagne, Justin Jackson, all these individuals that were boots on the ground that initiated the process for HB 803. They were the, I guess, founding fathers, so to speak. And then all these different organizations, what you saw in Texas was absolutely amazing. And that was that picture that you guys had posted was, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, Dad's Team Texas 2503 was out there, the Fathers' Rights Movement, Dad's Equal Custody, HB 803, Fathers Anonymous, you name it. All these different groups came together, and I think we had something like 150 folks that, either testified or were for, and even more support that was physically there on the ground. It was absolutely amazing. The energy in the room. We had an overflow room that was even full of just folks for the testimony portion, not counting the hallway. And that picture doesn't do any justice because there was many more people that were involved Dad Talk was out there as well. I think Jeff Morgan and Eric kind of worked that out. And I know Dad Talk was on the tail end of a tour, nationwide tour or something, and they made Texas a stop. So that was appreciated as well. We had Delfino out there doing an investigative story and interviewing parents. So we had some media presence. We had a couple of different stories, one that was local in Austin. There was one, I think, ran in Dallas as well. It was a hot topic. It was good. I mean, it probably went as far as it did because the amount of support that it had.
Well, that's fantastic that you've got all that support. And so, where are the bills now, and what chance do you think they have of passing this year? Or if they don't pass this year, do they roll into next year's assembly? What's going on with that?
So, the shared parenting bill is it's at a stalemate. It's not going anywhere. It didn't get the vote that it needed, but I think the energy in the room is there. I think the momentum and everything that we need to move forward is there for next session for a shared parenting bill. It was on the Republican platform, as one of the big topics, the big ticket items. It made the top, I think, 16, and then it was an issue. I mean, we had, I think, 22 different co-authors and sponsors and bipartisan support. I think there was, across the lines. It was amazing. I foresee it succeeding next session. I don't want to call it, but I really do think with a little bit more attention, a little bit more education, the shared parenting, Texas will have something next session.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, every year this stuff grows and it gets more attention. And really when the grassroots method is really what we found works in other states. If people call their legislators, let them know that you support the cause, start out by calling the legislator that represents you, and then find the legislators that are on the hearing committees and the ones that are key players and call them and let them know as well. I mean, it's so important to let your voice be heard. And is that what you need more support of in Texas, or what's it going to take to get it across the line?
Absolutely. I think we need more folks, well-educated, well-versed, talking to the representatives, talking to the legislators, making those meetings, making those rounds, networking with these individuals, creating a good rapport, and maintaining that professionalism, that sort of level. The angry parent mentality, both from mothers and fathers, that we're done with that. We need action. We need resolve. We need solutions. So having healthy conversations is extremely important moving forward. And that may mean trips to the Capitol. That may, mean going to the local office and calling their district reps and House and Senate representatives and meeting face to face, putting a personal story with the name and in an educational sense, surely there's emotions involved, but you want to kind of maintain that professional ability during the conversation.
Yeah, that's so important. So what's next for you guys? Of course, you're working very hard on the bill. You've got this education piece that you're doing with law enforcement and the DAs and judges. Sounds like you got a lot going on, but what's coming up on the horizon?
So we've got probably about a week and a half left in the legislative session.
Yeah.
And so right now we're on pins and needles. We're waiting on two of these bills, to be heard and passed. And once they're passed, I think we've already talked and we said, we're going to take about a 30-day break, just kind of decompress from we've been doing a lot of Zooms. We've been doing a lot. Our team has just been blown up this legislative session. And then probably in the last 2 months, we've just boom, boom, boom. So I think we deserve that break. But then after that, when these laws get to go into effect in September 1, we're going to be at it again. So
that's phase 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Phase 2 is because 4240 says municipality or county can adopt it. So we're going to have to go before city councils and start getting them implemented in the bigger cities, and hoping that people will start flipping these smaller counties and cities to get the law enforced throughout the state of Texas.
Yeah, definitely an education piece to that. Well, first and foremost, we got to get them passed. We're waiting for those votes to drop. We remain hopeful. Both of them are, it's coming down to the wire, but I'm staying positive, staying optimistic. I'm going to say both pass, and then it's going to become an educational piece on phase 2 when we start.
And we don't get much opposition.
No, not at all.
And we shouldn't get opposition. It's like I said, there's no attorney, judge, or police officer that would tell you go against what the judge says. So, we are getting support all the way around. It's just slowly moving right now for one of our bills, and we're in a kind of in a time crunch. So we're staying on top of it. We're talking to legislators, we're on it.
So tell us, before we close out of here, tell us what can people do in Texas to help you, and what can people do around the country to help out in Texas?
Sure, absolutely. We're across every social media platform there is, Texas 2503. If you need help or have questions about interference with child custody, we realize shared parenting, it's all interwoven as well.
So, and parental alienation as well.
We're huge on the PA side, Children's Bill of Rights, child abuse awareness. We help in all those different aspects, and we kind of dabble with different organizations and nonprofits, both at a state and national level. If you're looking to help out, join the team, get on, Facebook. We do a lot of our dealings on Facebook and different social medias. We have a YouTube channel for information. We can provide assistance and kind of navigate you a little bit through your own personal case, but we do ask that you take action. You have to realize that your personal case alone isn't the issue. There's a bigger picture.
Right.
And we want folks to kind of dedicate some time and energy to that cause, to fix it for our children, to fix it for their children, moving forward. Yes, your case is important, but it's short term. The end game, the long term is we don't want our children to have to go through this judicial system the way it is.
So one of the things that I think separates us from many, and we've kind of talked about it, and to some people it sounds a little harsh, but we point blank, kind of bluntly, is we're not a support team. Okay, we're not here to hear your sad story. I got a sad story. He's got a sad story. We all got sad stories. So please don't come in and tell us, the baby mama drama. Okay, we're trying to fix the objective.
Sure.
So we're an educational piece who actually puts the boots on the ground, gets the emails out, makes the phone calls, and goes after the overall objective. And once we hit our objective, then we're all going to benefit from it. So that's what we decided to do, is we chase legislation instead of chasing police officers and DAs and telling them enforce.
Sure.
We're going to go above you guys. We're going to change the law, and now it's going to affect all of us all together. So that's one thing. We like to share educational pieces. I know there's some social media groups out there that like to share memes, and some might be towards mothers, some might be towards fathers, and memes are just memes to be shared. They don't educate anybody. All they do is degrade people. So we try to share information, reach out to your senator, know the
how-to process.
Right. Keep up with your state rep, who's in the Houston area that can call this person and ask them to move SB 2011. Sure. So we're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and we're aware that the issue impacts fathers on a higher percentage. We get that, but we aren't gender specific. We've helped mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody that has a valid current court order of guardianship that is having interference with child custody problems. We assist, we help. We will kind of give you the blueprint, if you will, for the process and help out along the way. So bring a healthy attitude to the table, a go-getter kind of style, and join the team, and then we'll assign you to an admin moderator within your geographical restriction, even at whether it's at a state or local or national level. It doesn't matter. However little you can contribute, time and energy, as long as you're maintaining that positive state of mind, we'll help you through the process. You join a seasoned vet and team, and then you guys are sending the emails and making the phone calls and those kind of things. So
and one of the things is I've been kind of as the founder, I've said, hey, look, guys, let's concentrate on Texas. So if you have members out there from Texas, we invite them all. We invite anybody, really.
Yeah.
But we can't. We want to keep our group separate from the United States, only because we don't no disrespect, but we don't want people from California or Utah or Arkansas saying, hey, well, what about Arkansas laws? Like, I don't live there. We're knee deep in Texas, right? So we want to make sure that our group is focused. Now, if you want to come to us and say, how do I start an organization like this in Arkansas? That's a different, that's something we can help you out with.
Well, we do that now. I mean, on a national, we currently working with other states,
Right.
And it's how we share those ideas for legislation. What worked in their area versus what's working in ours. So the Texas thing, yeah, our subject matter experts and our focus may be Texas, but I have to admit we do have a great rapport with other states,
Right.
California and Dr. Petra and Victims to Heroes. That's an amazing site as well. I mean, there's so many just to name the different shared parenting groups at different state levels that we've helped out along the way. It's kind of been fun. I mean, why we're brought together that's horrible, right? We don't. This shouldn't exist. The groups like this shouldn't have to exist.
No.
But while we're doing it, we make it look fun and information.
And that's one of the key things is you got to have fun with this. You're going to have to remove the emotion from your case. You're going to have to. We're going after big fish, right? We're not going after little fish. And when you change your attitude, we see it in parents. Hey, man, I got my first meeting with the senator, and that gives them more drive to keep pushing. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a morale booster for some of these. So we like, using our members to go out and we give them a task and they feel part of the team. And it's great because then they contribute to us and they contribute not only to themselves, but to everyone else.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and we really appreciate all the information and all the things you're doing in Texas. Really hope that you guys can get some of this pushed through because it is so important, that we get this reform done to better families all over Texas and then hopefully all over the country. So tell us where we can find you. Where's the best place to find you on social media?
Well, we have two Facebook groups. We have a public and a private page. Interference with Child Custody, Texas Penal Code 25.03. We're on Twitter at Texas 2503. We're on Instagram and we're on YouTube with Texas 25.03.
That's right.
All right. We look forward to, well, of course, I have all those links underneath this on social media. So if you're interested in checking them out, be sure to go and check out those links and join the conversation. But thanks again for coming on, and we'll have you on again in the future to talk more in depth about each of these bills. And we wish you the best of luck down in Texas.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having us.